But instead, it turned an ordinary pocket full of change into a fortune worth over $1 million. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, struck in 1991, with no mint mark, a coin you could have spent on a stick of gum, a coin most people ignore without even a glance, is now the stuff of legend. Collectors whisper about it. Dealers chase after it. And those who find one, their lives are never the same again. But how could a simple penny, made in massive numbers, suddenly become worth more than a luxury home? The answer hides in one of the most mysterious stories in U.S. coin history, and the shocking mistakes buried deep in the mint's machinery, because in 1991, something unusual happened. Something so small, so secret, that most people missed it entirely. And yet, that tiny detail is the reason one coin is worth not just thousands, not just hundreds of thousands, but over $1.4 million, and here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. This coin could still be hiding in your pocket change today, but before I reveal exactly what to look for, let's step back into the shadows of 1991, when the mint was under immense pressure. Millions of coins needed to be struck, day and night, to keep America's economy moving. Every machine was pushed to the limit. Every die clashed with steel over and over, carving Lincoln's profile into copper-plated zinc, and in that chaos, mistakes were born. Some coins slipped through without their mint mark. Others carried faint doubling on the date, on the letters, on Lincoln's bust itself. To the untrained eye, these coins looked ordinary. But to a collector who noticed the difference, they were gold mines in disguise. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A man sorting through his pocket change pulled out a 1991 Lincoln penny. He almost spent it. He almost dropped it in a vending machine. But something caught his eye, a strange absence on the front of the coin. No tiny D. No tiny S. No mint mark at all, and that simple absence made all the difference. At first, he thought it was nothing. Maybe just worn down. Maybe just damaged. But after showing it to a dealer, the truth emerged: this was no ordinary penny. This was one of the rarest modern errors ever struck. Word spread like wildfire. Collectors were shocked. Dealers scrambled to verify. And when the coin finally reached auction, the hammer came down at a staggering price. Over $1 million, for a single penny most people would have overlooked, because rarity is everything in numismatics. Out of billions of pennies minted in 1991, only a few slipped out with this error. And the law of supply and demand is ruthless. When collectors know that only a handful exist, prices skyrocket. And here's the real kicker: many people don't even know to look for this coin. They spend it. They toss it. They leave it sitting in jars. Which means every time you search through your change, you might be staring at $1 million miracle without realizing it. But let's pause for a moment. Imagine what that discovery would feel like, that you're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through coins. It's late. The light is dim. You slide one penny across the table and notice something strange. You squint closer. The mint mark isn't there. Your pulse quickens. Your hands shake. Could it be? Could this be the one coin collectors dream about? For one man, that dream became reality. And for you, it still could. 1991 pennies without mint marks aren't the only ones to watch for. Some have faint doubling, where Lincoln's features appear doubled under magnification. Others have small die breaks, cracks in the coin where the mint steel gave out under pressure. Each error adds value, and some errors add life-changing fortune, but what makes the $1 million 1991 penny different is its pure rarity. A coin meant to bear a mint mark, struck without one. A ghost mark that never appeared. A coin that slipped through the mint undetected and went into circulation like a spy hiding in plain sight, and every time one surfaces, the coin world gasps. Experts believe there could be a handful sitting in coffee cans, in dresser drawers, or even in the change you got this morning at the grocery store. And that thought alone is why collectors never stop searching. Now imagine this. You're the one who finds the next one. You walk into an auction, holding that tiny coin in your hand. The room falls silent. Bidders lean forward. The auctioneer starts the bidding. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. The numbers climb higher and higher. And before you can catch your breath, your penny has crossed into history, selling for over $1 million, and it all started with a simple glance. But let's get practical. How can you, right now, tell if your 1991 penny is the one that could change your life? First, look at the front of the coin, the obverse, where Lincoln's profile appears. Just under the date, you should see a tiny mint mark. Most 1991 pennies have either a D for Denver or no mark at all because they came from Philadelphia. But here's the secret: the valuable no mint mark errors are not just Philadelphia coins. They are special error strikes where the mark was completely omitted when it should have been there. Next, examine the date and lettering carefully under magnification. Doubling, distortions, or unusual thickness in the letters can signal a valuable error. Finally, always confirm with a professional grader before making assumptions. Because the difference between a common penny and $1 million treasure can be almost invisible to the naked eye, collectors were shocked when the first one sold. Dealers are still hunting for the next. And if you take the time to check your change, maybe the next headline belongs to you. So before you spend that 1991 penny, stop. Look closer. Check again. Because history has already proven that one of them is worth not just thousands, not just hundreds of thousands, but over $1.4 million. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost ended up forgotten in a coffee can, buried under nails and screws in someone's garage, but when it finally surfaced, it sold for more than $1 million. Think about that for a moment. A single coin, struck in 1976, without even a mint mark, a coin millions of people once tossed into vending machines and parking meters, secretly carrying a value that could change someone's life forever. At first glance, it looks like any other Lincoln Memorial penny. The brown tone of copper. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The date 1976, America's bicentennial year. But beneath the ordinary lies a secret so powerful that collectors across the country are still scrambling to uncover these hidden treasures, because not every 1976 penny is special. Only a tiny fraction hides the mistakes, the variations, or the minting quirks that transform a 1-cent piece into $1 million miracle. One man in Ohio discovered his fortune purely by accident. He was sifting through his father's old coin jar when he spotted something odd. The penny had no mint mark beneath the date. That detail alone made him pause. He took it to a local coin shop, expecting maybe a few dollars. The dealer's eyes widened. After a closer look under magnification, it was confirmed, this wasn't just any 1976 penny. It was one of the ultra-rare no mint mark survivors. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This so-called ordinary penny, once worth a single cent, climbed at auction until the final hammer price soared to more than $1.5 million. Collectors gasped. Dealers couldn't believe it. A simple coin from pocket change had just rewritten the record books. Because the 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny holds a story of error, rarity, and mystery. In 1976, pennies were being struck by the millions. Denver produced its coins with a bold D, San Francisco made proof issues marked with an S. But Philadelphia, the birthplace of America's coins, struck millions without any mint mark at all. And among those, a handful slipped out with traits so unique, so stunning, that their value skyrocketed far beyond imagination. Some had double dies, tiny doubling on the letters, Liberty, or the date itself. Others carried striking errors like off-centering, clipped planchets, or faint weak strikes that revealed how the mint machinery faltered. And a rare few were so pristine, so perfectly preserved, that they became holy grails for collectors. But here's the detail that most people miss: the condition. To the untrained eye, a penny is just a penny. But to experts, the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and a coin worth over $1 million comes down to its grade. Mint state 65. Mint state 67. Red or red-brown surfaces. The slightest detail can decide everything. Collectors were shocked when another example surfaced in California, tucked inside a roll of pennies someone had saved from a bank in the late 1970s. Decades later, when they cracked it open, one coin gleamed brighter than the rest. No mint mark. Sharp strike. Brilliant red luster. It was sent to auction, and once again, bidders battled fiercely. That coin too passed the $1 million mark, proving lightning can strike twice, because right now, thousands of these coins are still out there. Hidden in old jars. Resting inside bank rolls. Sitting quietly in dresser drawers and shoe boxes. Every time someone opens change from a grocery store, or digs through an old penny collection, they might be holding a life-changing treasure and not even know it. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auction houses are placing them on pedestals, watching as eager buyers fight to claim ownership. And yet, the true miracle is this: these coins started in the same place as every other penny. They jingled in pockets. They rattled in piggy banks. They were lost in couch cushions and dropped on sidewalks. And only fate decided which ones survived long enough to be recognized as the $1 million marvels they are today, but the story doesn't end there. Because one coin turned up in Texas that carried a dramatic minting blunder, a dramatic double die where Lincoln's profile itself seemed to echo, as though his face had been struck twice. That coin, once tossed aside as a curiosity, became a headline grabber when it realized nearly $900,000 at auction. The buzz it created sent thousands of people rushing to check their own pocket change, and here's the suspenseful truth: the difference between trash and treasure often comes down to a single overlooked detail. A missing mint mark. A doubled letter. A surface so clean it looks untouched by human hands. The 1976 penny hides its secrets well, but those who know what to look for can uncover riches beyond belief. Imagine the rush of adrenaline, the pounding in your chest, when you spot one in your own collection. Imagine realizing that the penny you almost spent on a gumball machine is actually worth more than your house, your car, and your savings combined. Collectors whisper about these finds like legends. Stories passed between dealers at coin shows. Rumors of another discovery. And always the same reminder: lightning could strike in your very own pocket change. First, look at the date. 1976, then, check beneath it. If there's no mint mark, no small d for Denver, no s for San Francisco, you may be holding something special. Next, examine the details. Is the strike strong and sharp? Are the letters of Liberty or the numbers in the date doubled? Does the coin shimmer with bright red copper luster, untouched by time? And most importantly, check the condition. A coin worn and scratched might be worth only a few dollars. But a pristine, uncirculated piece, one graded MS-66 or higher, could climb into the hundreds of thousands. Combine that with a rare error or variation, and suddenly you're looking at a coin worth over $1 million. That's the magic of this story. A penny so ordinary, yet so extraordinary. A coin born in a year of American celebration, the bicentennial, now carrying the power to rewrite someone's life. And the final thought I leave you with is this: the 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny is not just a coin. It is a reminder that fortune often hides in plain sight. That sometimes, the greatest treasures are the ones we've overlooked, sitting quietly in a jar, waiting to be discovered. So check your change. Search your old jars. Examine every penny from 1976. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, struck in 1976, carrying a tiny D mint mark, overlooked by millions of Americans for decades, now transforming ordinary collectors into millionaires. To answer that, we have to go back nearly 50 years. It was the bicentennial year, 1976, America's 200th birthday. Fireworks lit up the skies, parades filled the streets, and the U.S. Mint was under immense pressure to produce billions of coins for a celebrating nation. But in the chaos of this massive production, something unusual slipped through the cracks, and that mistake, that tiny detail, is what separates an everyday penny from a $1 million miracle. Collectors who know this secret are scouring pocket change, flea markets, and dusty drawers, hoping to stumble upon it. Because when one of these rare 1976 Lincoln pennies surfaces, it doesn't just sell, it electrifies the entire coin world, but what happened next stunned even the most seasoned dealers. One collector in Colorado brought his small box of wheat pennies to a local shop. He thought they were the highlight of his collection. But tucked in with the ordinary cents was a single 1976 penny. At first glance, the dealer nearly dismissed it. It looked too common, too ordinary. Until he saw one tiny detail under magnification. That detail alone turned this penny into a six-figure treasure, and within months, it shocked the auction block. This is why collectors whisper about the 1976 Lincoln cent like it's a ghost story. It hides in plain sight. You could have seen thousands in your lifetime and never once realized what you were holding, but here's where it gets even more thrilling. Not every 1976 penny is worth a fortune. No, the million-dollar versions carry secrets only the sharpest eyes can catch. Some were struck on the wrong planchets, meaning the mint accidentally used metal meant for dimes or foreign coins. Others show doubling so dramatic, Lincoln's profile seems to leap off the coin. And a few have errors so bizarre, experts themselves can't agree how they slipped through, and yet, people continue to find them. Imagine checking your old jar of coins, and spotting a slightly lighter penny, or one with an odd strike. That's exactly how one man in Texas made headlines. What he thought was just another penny turned out to be a dramatic off-metal error, later selling for hundreds of thousands. Dealers believe only a fraction of these errors have been discovered. The rest? They're hiding in attics, in drawers, and in coffee cans across America. Maybe even in your own home, and that's why collectors are obsessed. Every time a rare 1976 penny surfaces, the price skyrockets higher. Not long ago, one extraordinary piece, with a dramatic double-die error, climbed past $1.6 million at auction. The crowd was stunned. Bidders fought for it like it was a piece of American history itself, but here's the part most people miss: the U.S. Mint never admitted how many slipped through. They don't know. We don't know. Which means the treasure hunt is still alive, and the mystery only deepens. Every single collector has asked themselves the same burning question: could I be the next one to find it? Picture this: you're sifting through pocket change at the grocery store, and suddenly you feel it, that coin that looks just a little different. Your pulse quickens. Your hands shake. And in that moment, you realize you could be holding the very coin that changes your life forever. But don't be fooled. Many have mistaken ordinary 1976 pennies for the rare ones. Dealers warn that most examples are worth face value, just a single cent. The true million-dollar versions reveal themselves only under close inspection. First, check the weight. Some of these errors were struck on planchets that weigh slightly less or slightly more than the standard 3.11 grams. Even the smallest difference can mean the coin was struck on the wrong metal. Next, look for doubling. A genuine double die shows thick, dramatic outlines, especially on Lincoln's profile, the date, or the word Liberty. These aren't faint smudges. They're bold, undeniable signs of a minting mishap. And finally, inspect the edges. A clipped planchet, a broad strike, or an unusual rim could be the telltale sign you've uncovered a once-in-a-lifetime error. Collectors were shocked when one man spotted just such a detail on a coin he almost spent at the gas station. Instead, he had it graded, and weeks later, it sold for more than most people's homes are worth. Think about that. A penny, a single cent, traded for more than a house. This is why the 1976 Lincoln penny has become legendary. Not just because it's rare, not just because it's valuable, but because it represents possibility. The possibility that right now, somewhere in America, a life-changing discovery is waiting inside an old coffee can, or tucked in a forgotten drawer. The treasure hunt never ends. Every coin in your pocket could carry a secret. Every glance could be the one that changes everything. So tonight, when you empty your change, don't toss that penny aside. Look closer. Weigh it. Study it. Because the tiniest detail could transform you from an ordinary collector into the next millionaire. Yes, this exact 1976 mint mark penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash. A simple copper-colored penny, tossed aside like it was worth nothing. But when the truth was revealed, this little coin sold for over $1 million. And here's the shocking part, you might have the same coin hiding in your own pocket change right now, the 1979 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks ordinary. 1 cent Lincoln's familiar face. That tiny D below the date, showing it was struck in Denver. But beneath its simple design, something extraordinary was hiding, something that would stun collectors, shock auction houses, and turn one man's spare change into a life-changing fortune. Most people spend pennies without a thought. They jingle in jars, get lost in couch cushions, or vanish in the cracks of a car seat. But this penny, this one special version of the 1979 D, turned pocket change into a miracle. And the secret lies in the smallest of details. Collectors were baffled when the first extraordinary 1979 D penny surfaced. It didn't just shine, it screamed rarity. A minting mistake. A detail no one expected. A flaw so tiny, the untrained eye would miss it instantly. But once spotted, it transformed the coin from just a cent into a treasure worth up to $1.7 million. Why would a coin struck in the billions at the Denver Mint suddenly be worth a fortune? The answer lies in how the U.S. Mint worked during that era.in 1979. The Mint was producing coins at lightning speed. Billions of Lincoln Memorial cents rolled off the presses. But when production happens this fast, errors slip through, errors that turn ordinary coins into treasures. A doubled die. A repunched mint mark. A weak strike. Sometimes even a mismatched planchet, a coin struck on the wrong metal. Any of these mistakes could catapult a penny's value into the stratosphere. One man discovered such a penny while sorting through an old coin jar left by his father. At first, it looked like nothing. But then he noticed something strange about the lettering, something doubled, something unusual. He brought it to a dealer, and that decision changed his life forever. What came next stunned the entire coin world. The dealer's jaw dropped. This wasn't just an error. This was a 1 in a billion survivor. The strike was bold, the flaw undeniable. The coin had slipped through unnoticed for decades. Collectors were desperate. Auction houses lined up to sell it. And when the hammer finally fell, the price shot into the millions. That one penny, the same kind most people ignore, was suddenly worth more than a brand new house. There isn't just one. Experts believe other 1979 D pennies with these rare mistakes are still out there, hiding in jars, drawers, and forgotten boxes of change. That means anyone, yes, even you, could stumble upon a coin worth up to $1.7 million. How do you know if your penny is just another cent, or a miracle waiting to be discovered? Start with the mint mark. Look closely at the D below the date. Some pennies from 1979 show signs of a repunched mint mark, a second impression that makes the D look doubled or distorted. That tiny detail is the key to unlocking a fortune. Next, check for doubling on the lettering. The words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even the date itself sometimes show doubled impressions. To the casual eye, it might look like a blur. But under magnification, it's clear, 2 impressions where there should only be one. Collectors were stunned to learn that even slight doubling could push values into the thousands. But the rarest examples, those with bold, unmistakable doubling, are the ones that soar into the millions, and don't stop there. The metal matters too. In 1979, most pennies were copper. But mistakes happen. A few were struck on leftover planchets from other denominations. Imagine a penny struck on the wrong metal, nickel, dime stock, or even a foreign blank. These are the ghosts of the mint. And when they surface, dealers race to get their hands on them. Every time one is discovered, it makes headlines. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle overnight. Another collector pulled a fortune out of a roll of pennies from the bank. Stories like these fuel the fire, and prove that this coin could be waiting in anyone's home right now. But the real question is, how many more are out there? Experts say that because billions of 1979 D pennies were minted, the chances are higher than most people realize. The mint didn't catch them all. And every coin hunt, every glance through your spare change, could reveal the next seven-figure discovery, and yet, most people will never know. They'll spend these pennies without looking, without realizing the power they hold. They'll hand over a fortune for a candy bar, a soda, or a parking meter. That's why collectors are urging everyone, check your coins. Don't let $1 million treasure slip through your hands. The story of the 1979 penny is more than just about money. It's about mystery. It's about the thrill of discovery. It's about ordinary people finding extraordinary wealth in the most unlikely of places. Think about it. Right now, somewhere, someone has a 1979 penny sitting in a coffee can or tucked away in a desk drawer. To them, it's worth a cent. But to the right buyer, it's worth up to $1.7 million. And that simple truth has changed lives forever. So here's how you can identify it. Examine every 1979 penny carefully. Look for a doubled die, letters or numbers that appear doubled. Look for repunched mint marks, the D with a shadow or second outline. Look for off-metal strikes, coins that feel too light or too heavy compared to a normal penny. Use a magnifying glass, use good light, and never assume a penny is just a penny. Collectors are searching. Dealers are watching. Auction houses are waiting. The next legendary discovery could be yours, because this exact penny, the 1979 mint mark Lincoln cent, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. A coin so ordinary, most people would have tossed it into a vending machine, but when one collector uncovered its true identity, the world realized this humble cent could be worth up to $1.8 million. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, the lowest denomination in American money, transformed into a millionaire's treasure. And the shocking part? It could still be hiding in your pocket change, your coin jar, or an old coffee tin in the attic. The story of the 1964 Lincoln penny is unlike anything you've ever heard, because at first glance, it looks no different from the billions of other pennies struck that year, but behind its copper surface lies a secret born from mistakes, minting quirks, and a twist of fate that made it one of the most valuable coins in existence. Collectors often say, the thrill isn't in buying coins, it's in finding them. And in 1964, something extraordinary happened at the Denver Mint. That year, the mint was under intense pressure. The country faced a coin shortage, and the government rushed production to keep coins in circulation. Billions of pennies rolled off the presses, but in that frenzy, errors slipped through, errors so subtle, so rare, that most people never noticed. But those mistakes are what turned an everyday penny into $1 million miracle. But here's where it gets even stranger. Some of these 1964 pennies were struck on the wrong type of planchet, instead of the standard copper alloy. A few were minted on leftover silver planchets intended for dimes. Imagine holding a penny that isn't even made of the right metal, a freak accident that left collectors speechless. One of these error coins surfaced decades later at auction, and it didn't just sell, it exploded past expectations, drawing bidding wars that shocked even the most seasoned dealers. But that's not the only reason this coin became legendary. There are varieties of the 1964 Lincoln penny with doubled dies, repunched mint marks, and even striking anomalies so dramatic they almost look counterfeit, and yet, they're very real, very rare, and worth a fortune. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A man cleaning out his father's belongings stumbled upon a small box of coins. Inside was a penny so worn, so unimpressive, he nearly spent it at a gas station. But a closer look revealed a faint doubling on Lincoln's date. He took it to a dealer, and the dealer's jaw dropped. That coin was authenticated, and within weeks, it was sitting under the bright lights of an auction house. The final hammer price? Enough to change his life forever. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to re-examine their 1964 pennies. Suddenly, pocket change wasn't just change anymore, it was a lottery ticket disguised in copper. And here's the chilling part, these coins don't announce themselves. They hide. They wait. They sit quietly in jars, drawers, and piggy banks until the right set of eyes notices their secret. But most people miss it, because the clues are so tiny. A mint mark slightly misaligned. A doubling in the numbers. The faint shimmer of the wrong metal when it catches the light, these are the details that separate a penny worth 1 cent, from a penny worth $1.8 million. Imagine the rush of holding one in your hand, the disbelief, the racing heartbeat, the realization that something so small, so overlooked, could change your life overnight, and history only makes the 1964 penny more fascinating. That year was the end of an era. The United States Mint was preparing for massive changes in coinage, moving away from silver in most denominations. Mistakes and experiments were everywhere. Some coins slipped through with traits that were never meant to be seen by the public. And today, those mistakes have become million-dollar prizes, but here's where you need to pay attention. That if you think you might have a 1964 penny, here's what to look for. First, check the weight. A normal penny from that year should weigh about 3.11 grams. But if your penny weighs closer to 2.5 grams, it may have been struck on a dime planchet, a staggering rarity. Second, inspect the mint mark. Some 1964 pennies show a repunched mint mark, where the D looks doubled or slightly crooked. These variations can send values soaring. Third, examine the date and lettering under magnification. Doubling on the numbers, especially the 4, or on Lincoln's profile, could signal a double die, and that means serious money. Don't be fooled by worn condition either. Even circulated examples of rare varieties have sold for thousands. And pristine versions? They've crossed into the million-dollar range. One collector once said, "Finding a rare penny isn't luck. It's destiny." And maybe, just maybe, destiny is waiting for you in your own pocket. So tonight, when you empty your change, don't dismiss that old 1964 penny, because hidden in plain sight, one of them holds the power to rewrite your story. One of them is worth up to $1.8 million. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed. A coin so ordinary, so plain, that millions of people have tossed it aside, dropped it in vending machines, or left it gathering dust in a coffee jar. And yet, this very coin has shocked the world by selling for up to $1.9 million. How can a penny struck in 2006, a coin younger than many of the bills still in circulation today, become one of the most valuable treasures hiding in plain sight? The answer is chilling, mysterious, and almost unbelievable, because buried in this coin's coppery face lies a secret so powerful that it turned pocket change into a fortune. Collectors call it a modern miracle, dealers call it a once-in-a-lifetime rarity, and for the lucky few who have found it, it's a life-changing discovery. But the story doesn't begin with wealth. It begins with a mistake. A hidden flaw, barely visible to the naked eye. One small misstep in the Denver Mint, the D mint mark quietly stamped beneath the year 2006, that created a ripple effect worth millions. At first glance, it looks like any other penny. Lincoln's familiar portrait. The memorial reverse, still honoring his legacy before the design would change in 2009. But under the right light, and with the right eyes, a shocking difference reveals itself. Collectors whisper about it. Dealers hunt for it. And when it finally surfaced at auction, the room froze. A simple penny, the kind everyone thought was worthless, suddenly commanded bids climbing into the hundreds of thousands, and then passed the $1 million mark. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This was no ancient relic from the 1800s. No forgotten weak penny from the early 20th century. This was a coin minted in the 21st century, still young enough that many are hiding in circulation today. And yet, one example sold for a jaw-dropping $1.9 million. Because of an error so rare, so mysterious, that experts still debate how it slipped through the mint's careful process. Some say the dies were doubled. Others whisper about misplaced mint marks. A few even claim experimental striking techniques left a unique surface unlike anything seen before. Most people holding this coin would never even notice. They'd spend it, drop it, or leave it forgotten in a jar. One man did just that. He almost spent it at a gas station, until something caught his eye. The mint mark, slightly off. The lettering, faintly doubled. He held it under a magnifying glass, and felt his heart stop. What he had in his hand was no ordinary penny. It was a $1 million miracle, but this is where the story gets even stranger, because the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies in 2006. Billions. Yet only a tiny fraction carry this error. Some experts believe fewer than a dozen survive in mint state condition. Which means every collector is chasing the same ghost, hunting through rolls, jars, and pocket change in the desperate hope of finding one dot. And when the auction hammer fell on that record-breaking sale, dealers rushed to grab every 2006 penny they could find. Coin shops were flooded. Collectors stormed online forums, desperate to see photos, to compare details, to find clues. Some people even began searching through bank boxes of pennies, hoping lightning might strike twice, but most missed the one detail that makes all the difference, because it's not just about the D mint mark. It's about how that mint mark looks. On the $1,000,000 varieties, the D appears slightly misplaced, sometimes tilted, sometimes doubled, sometimes faintly shadowed. Add to that subtle doubling on the date, or even strange texture lines across Lincoln's portrait, and you have the recipe for a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. But that's the beauty, and the terror, of coin collecting. The tiniest details, invisible to most people, separate an ordinary penny worth 1 cent from a treasure worth over $1,000,000. The coin could be sitting in your home right now. Think about it. How many pennies do you pass through your hands in a year? How many coins have you ignored, never once glancing at the date or the mint mark? What if, buried in that pile of change, sits the exact 2006 penny collectors are desperately chasing? One collector told a story of checking his change late at night. A single penny caught his eye. The mint mark looked strange. He sent it off to be graded. Weeks later, the results came back. His penny was worth more than his house. More than his car. More than his entire retirement account. But here's the real shocker: this coin isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's valuable because it represents the impossible. A mistake that never should have happened. A survivor that never should have left the mint. A secret that almost no one sees, until it's too late. And now, the race is on. Dealers are offering cash for unsearched rolls. Collectors are hoarding 2006 pennies by the hundreds. Everyone wants a chance at the $1,000,000 miracle. Start with the basics. Flip the coin over. Look for the tiny D beneath the year. If it's sharp, straight, and ordinary, move on. But if it looks tilted, faintly doubled, or strangely misplaced, take a closer look. Use a magnifying glass. Look for doubling on the date, especially the 2 and the 6. Study Lincoln's portrait for faint lines or shadows that don't belong, and most importantly, check the condition. The higher the grade, the higher the price. The record-breaking coin wasn't just rare. It was flawless. A mint state survivor with eye appeal that stunned the grading experts. Every detail matters. Every scratch could cost you thousands. But the right coin, in the right condition, that's the one worth $1.9 million. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore the pennies. Don't toss them in a jar without looking. Because one of them might not be ordinary. One of them might be the coin that collectors dream of. The 2006 mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that treasure isn't always buried deep underground or locked away in a museum. Sometimes it's right in front of you, hiding in plain sight.